Hello, my name is Chloe Kempf, and I'm an attorney with the ACLU of Texas. We are here in court today challenging Senate Bill 12. While the court has not made a final decision yet in this case, the judge indicated to us that this is one of the most interesting and important cases that he's ever considered during his time on the federal bench. We consider this an extremely important case too. As we will talk about, SB 12 is a dangerous restriction on the First Amendment rights on not only our plaintiffs, but on all Texans. And it is part of a larger slate of legislative restrictions out of the 2023 legislative session targeting the Texas LGBTQIA community. The legislature passed laws targeting the way that we express ourselves through art, through the books that we can read, and through the health care that we need to thrive and survive. I'll now pass it to one of the plaintiffs in this case, Brigitte Bandit. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brigitte Bandit, and I am a drag artist and performer in Austin, Texas. I was one of the plaintiffs in this case. I was very happy to advocate for my community, the drag community, and queer people and queer artistry. Queer people have always existed in Texas before Texas was even Texas, and we will be here no matter what happens, and we should be celebrated as such. We are Texans, and we deserve to be here just as much as anybody else. And so I'm happy that I got to advocate for my community, and I'm proud to be with the team behind me. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Good afternoon. My name is Brigitte Montez. I am one of the co-owners of 360 Queen Entertainment based out of San Antonio, Texas. And while the circumstances that bring us here are not ideal, I have to say that I am deeply honored to have had the opportunity to be a plaintiff in this case, and to lend my voice to this very important cause of protecting the rights of LGBTQIA plus people and all Texans. And we know, considering the slate of laws taking place across this state and the country, that the fight is not over. And I personally, and on behalf of 360 Queen Entertainment, continue to pledge ourselves to this cause in whatever is needed. And we're grateful to the ACLU for always having our back.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Rocha, R-O-C-H-A. I'm the founder and president of the Woodlands Pride, and we are thrilled to be a part of this case to fight for the LGBTQ plus community, especially those in the suburbs and rural areas, but specifically all across Texas and whatever ramifications this might have across the country. As I stated in my testimony, I'm a veteran of the United States Army, a proud veteran, and as we continue to fight for democracy and liberate people across the world, we look back at our state and our counties and even our own country, and we see those liberations and freedoms taken away. And so we are very happy to be a part of this, to continue spreading awareness for the LGBTQ plus community, and to I give much thanks to the ACLU and Baker Botts for joining in this fight for us. We will have our festival on October 21st in the Woodlands, Texas, with or without this bill, because you cannot hide us, as our opponent said, behind butcher paper, because we are a liberated people, and we will always be that way. Thank you.
My name is Brian Klosterboer, Brian Klosterboer. I'm an attorney with the ACLU of Texas. SB 12 is a blatant attempt to drive drag performances out of public life. But it's closely connected to an onslaught of legislation here in Texas and across the country that's really trying to drive LGBTQ plus people out of life. We are so grateful to our plaintiffs who have had the courage to stand up, taken time away from their lives to come testify and share their stories with the court. We're also grateful to our pro bono counsel with Baker Botts. but no one should have even had to come here today to have to come to court because this law is so clearly unconstitutional and discriminatory. We're asking the court to block this law, Senate Bill 12, from taking effect this Friday. The court today indicated that a decision could come on Thursday. The court has not yet rendered a final decision about what will happen, but the court said that it is one of the most interesting and important cases that Judge Hittner has heard in 37 years on the federal bench. So we remain hopeful that we can obtain a ruling blocking this unconstitutional law and stopping the defendants in this case from harming our plaintiffs, the LGBTQ plus community in Texas, and the rights of all Texans. This law would go far beyond drag to chill and target any performance in public that could be considered sexual or appealing to the prurient interest in sex. We shared that with the court today and yesterday, and we are hoping to block this law. We're also open to taking any questions you have, as I am. Not the plaintiffs are not.
As a matter of housekeeping, I'm sorry. You just said that the judge might render a decision Thursday. Did I misunderstand? I thought he said he was going to give you guys till a week from Wednesday to submit conclusions and facts and finding that kind of thing, and then after that he would begin working or finalizing the opinion. Did I misunderstand? I'm just trying to get the timetable.
Correct. So he said that if he decides in our favor, he could issue a temporary restraining order blocking the law, which could be issued at any time, but he indicated that could come out on Thursday. Okay. If he doesn't find in our favor, the law would just go into effect on Friday, but the case could still continue, and we do have a deadline next week of finalizing our briefing in that case. But he indicated that he could issue a TRO stopping the law as we still finalize that briefing.
Okay, so that would mean, just stop me if I'm wrong. I thought what he was kind of saying is that you could issue a temporary restraining order to maintain the status quo while he's going through all this other stuff.
Exactly.
While he makes a decision. Is that?
That is completely accurate, yes.
Okay.
For someone who wasn't in the courtroom, you had your case, you stated your case there. What did the state, what was their argument for defending it? Just that, trying to get the other gist of it.
Yeah, we sadly, we think they're wrong on the law. The state just said in a very conclusory way that the law, first of all, they're trying to say that drag shows find no protection at all in the First Amendment, which has never been accepted by any court across the country. We also believe that argument is very dangerous. Once we allow the government to start censoring and restricting certain types of shows simply because they're unpopular or disfavored, that is a clear violation of the First Amendment. And as Jason Rocha from the Woodlands Pride testified, as a veteran, that's why people fight for our country. That's one of the things that makes our country unique. And some people are not happy with some of the shows they see on TV or possibly at a public park. But as long as those performances are not obscene, they still find protection within the Constitution.
I know one of the things that the state attorneys kept saying is that this is not targeting drag shows. What would be your response to that?
Yes, within a week after Governor Abbott signed this bill into law, he very publicly on Twitter said that the Texas governor had banned all drag shows in public. That's a very broad statement of the law that it's not in effect. But even looking at the legislative record, the Texas legislature clearly mentions drag shows in this law. And the text of the law itself prohibits any kind of sexual gesticulations using an accessory or prosthetic that exaggerates male or female sexual characteristics. Very vague, verbose, broad words. But we believe that the intent of that, based on the clear evidence in the record, is targeting drag shows.
What do you sort of see what comes next? I mean, kind of big picture in terms of, we know that a lot of drag shows and those sorts of things have come under fire in recent years here in the state of Texas and in the country. Kind of paint us a picture of the environment for y'all.
Even if we win this case, the fight is far from over. SB 12 is just one of a number of bills that are all set to come to a head this week. There's a court hearing in Austin against House Bill 900, the book banning bill, trying to strip away books from public schools that mention sexual content. There's also the trans healthcare ban, Senate Bill 14, that's set to go into effect. We filed a brief yesterday asking the Texas Supreme Court to block that law from taking effect this Friday. That's threatening to strip away life-saving, evidence-based healthcare for transgender youth in our state. Just last night, the Katy ISD School Board also passed a virulently anti-transgender policy that seeks to suppress, marginalize, and hurt their transgender and non-binary students here in Katy ISD. It's simply an onslaught of attacks, especially against the transgender community here in Texas. Even if we win this lawsuit, we know that there are still going to be threats coming. All of our plaintiffs testified that they've received threats, that they're having protesters at their events, but they're not going to go back and they're not going to go into the shadows, that they're going to keep being who they are, and we're going to keep fighting for LGBTQ plus Texans and all Texans in our state.
Echoing this because there are no cameras in the courtroom kind of thing, can we get you to, it sounded to me like the state's attorney was, a big position for them was that SB 12 does not impinge on freedom of speech, that it simply aims to make performances less graphic for children. Could you respond to that?
Yes, we acknowledge that the state, all of us really want to protect children, but that's not what's at issue in this case. All of our plaintiffs testified that their shows, while they could be considered sexual to some, and that's why there's the chilling of speech, they are not those most extreme examples that the state tried to bring up. Those extreme examples are already prohibited under Texas law by the obscenity statutes. Thank you all so much.